Not everybody is impressed with number 18, QB1.
Whoever they played against in preseason, it wasn't the best players on the other team.
So what you're saying is, Coach, we can't plan a parade because Caleb was so accurate in the preseason.
Well, it wasn't accurate. He's 10 for 20.
Yeah, it's like you didn't watch the 20 throws. Come on. There's a reason he's excited.
It's 20 throws, Chad.
He buzzed through them. And
you got to think how good the 10 were that were completed.
Yeah.
The extended plays.
They weren't that good. There was a couple highlight plays.
See?
They weren't that good.
And no one's saying he might not be great. Yeah. But what we're saying is, it's just you need the context. It's like when I hear somebody's lighting it up in camp, I'm like, is he running with the twos? Is he going against the two defense? Is the quarterback struggling because he's got the two offensive line? There's just a lot we don't know.
Bill Belichick making those comments on Inside the NFL. Your thoughts, Shea?
Look, Belichick was not a great personnel guy at the end of the time of his run in New England. If you don't believe me, look at his draft classes. They stink across the board. He took Mac Jones. I would question his ability to scout quarterbacks. He took traded up for a kicker in the 4th round last year. That kicker has since been cut 1 season in. Whatever, he's free to criticize. I would also argue 10 of 20. Ooh, did you watch the 20 throws? Well, he had 4 drops.
Right. That's what I was exactly. That was my reaction right there. Well, he did have 4 drops. He had a couple of receivers, Tyler Scott being one of them, that he's playing with the 2nd and 3rd string guys at that point. Yeah, but wow. Like, that is so smug, the way he came off with it.
There was also a touchdown caliber deep ball thrown to Tyler Scott, and Tyler Scott couldn't catch it because he was interfered with, so neither the attempt or the would-be completion count. That would have made it better. But to go, oh, well, you need the context to talk about the context. How about you talk about the context? You can't just rip off 10 of 20 and not add that he had 4 drops. If those balls are caught, 14 of 20 looks a lot better, and it's hard to not say accurate. Now, again, we're evaluating 20 passes. We're going to find everything out tomorrow when they actually get on the field. But the mockery that is in everybody's voice there, a bit much.
It really, I think that after everything we heard last year with the Justin Fields, and everyone nationally was predicting Justin Fields to be an MVP candidate, and couldn't believe that people in Chicago were actually wondering whether or not Justin Fields was their starting quarterback of the future. I take so much of this now with a grain of salt. But tomorrow when Caleb Williams takes the field, I love this comment that he made about the nerves, or, you know, is there going to be extra excitement for him? This is a guy that just really is a deep thinker. So he said, quote, "When feet touch the grass, it's going to be business as usual. I normally like to, when I run out of the stadium, kind of do a little spin in the tunnel. When I'm coming out of the tunnel, just kind of see the stadium, take it all in, feel the energy, the vibe, and then get going from there. Once I do my spin, get down to the sideline, and it's go time." I love the vibe about him. I love when, like in Hard Knocks, the best parts of that show was the almost off mic stuff with him. When he's like repeating over his head, you know, look to the right, look to this, cut this guy off, look him down, go to down. I love when he was doing that. It showed you a process that I don't think we've ever seen with a quarterback, at least not in Chicago. And I want to see, is this a process that is going to work in the NFL? I think it's great. I think it's exciting. Now it's go time.
Yeah, of course. And the excitement, honestly, I'm glad that we are all as excited to see this as we are. I'm way more excited about the fact we don't have to talk about it anymore, and we can just talk about what happens on the field starting tomorrow. And I do think Caleb's going to be very good. I think everything about Caleb screams everything except rookie. Like, he just does not feel like a rookie at all. I think a big part of that is he's dealt with media pressure. He was in Los Angeles. Granted, was Lincoln Riley protecting him from having podium appearances after games, whatever? Sure. The point is, He's been in an environment where he was under the spotlight for 2 seasons.
Right.
And he won a Heisman Trophy, and he dealt with media scrutiny, and he's made a ton of money already. And that takes a lot of the pressure off as a rookie, knowing you're set financially. You've done all the advertising. You've made a bunch of money at USC. You will have advertising now. Like, the money's good. That part of it you can kind of set aside and just play ball.
Yeah.
And that is a very different feeling than we've ever gotten any team out of any number one quarterback. Not to mention the team he's on didn't earn the number one pick.
Right.
So I think the excitement, the hype is all real, and we're finally going to get to see the payoff tomorrow.
And what worries, I think, some maybe at Hallis Hall is they don't know what Denard Wilson, the new defensive coordinator for the Titans, is going to do. He comes from the Ravens. He was a one-time scout for the Bears. He scouted for the Bears actually for a pretty good long time. But is he going to be this blitzing guy? And is he going to throw the kitchen sink at Caleb Williams? Because typically that's what you do. Typically, you want to disguise the coverages, especially the safety. A rookie quarterback in the NFL, the safety is, quite frankly, your safety valve. You identify where the safety is at, and then you're able to identify the defenses from there. So they're going to have to do some pre-snap coverages that are going to disguise maybe what they're doing. And I do think that they are going to throw a lot at him early on just to throw him off balance and to see how does he react. How does he react like his last showing when they went 3 and out, couldn't get the ball downfield. They looked terrible, made the adjustments. He didn't let it get to him, and he came back, scored a touchdown.
There's also a chance he might be ready for that. And it speaks more to what the Bears did, not only in the preseason, playing guys for longer periods in those games, but at camp. How much did we hear about Eberflus's stunting defensive linemen and sending them on different kinds of rush packages, disguising coverages? He's doing different things with creative blitzes from the backfield. He's sending pressure at Caleb. Like, he's showing them different looks in practice.
Right.
So that when you get to the game and you might see some exotic stuff out of Tennessee, you might actually be more prepared for it than you would have otherwise, just going through the motions at camp. I can't wait to see it. And I kind of hope we see more exotic stuff so we can see how Caleb addresses it pre-snap, how he reads it during a play, and if he can make those reads and make those throws. We're all going to find out.
Eberflus and Eric Washington, actually, they talked about that. They said they have, you're not just preparing for Tennessee the week before the game. Because they had extended training camp, they were inserting some things that he might see, not only from Tennessee, but from some other defenses.
Yeah.
And without telling them, he said, we don't want them to know, hey, this is what Tennessee does. We did it just to prepare him without letting him know that these are some looks that you might see. So I do like that.
Well, and I think some of the results that we heard from the media up at camp speak for themselves. Like, every time the Bears were going against themselves in practice, we'd hear really rough day for the offense. Caleb didn't look good. Couple interceptions, whatever. We'd hear all of that. And then you just think about, well, okay, Eberflus and Eric Washington can scheme against themselves in those practices. They can draw things up knowing what's coming from the offense to make it virtually impossible for the offense to have success against whatever defense they're throwing at them.
Yep.
Like, everybody can scheme against each other and make life harder. Then when they had joint practices with Cincinnati or the preseason game, you just hear how great the offense looked, how far ahead they were of the Bengals defensively. Like, everything kind of sounded much better when they weren't going against themselves. I think it's an advantage you get when you take camp as seriously as it felt like they did.
When the word expectations is brought up about Caleb Williams, it kind of sends shivers down the spines of Bears coaches. This was what Shane Waldron had to say about that.
It's an amazing word that shows up on so many questions, right? Expectations. And I think there's external expectations that are totally separate from how the way we operate every single day. And like I said, the expectations for our daily operating is how hard we're working, what we're doing. But there isn't this down the road expectation, right? The expectations is what's walkthrough look like today, what's practice look like this afternoon. And so for us, if you work hard, you prepare the right way, we have great players around this building right here, then you trust the process and the results will happen.
There is another phrase that is tossed around Hallis Hall a lot this year, and it has to do with the fact that the Bears started 0-4 last year, extending that god-awful losing streak from the year before. The Bears will start tomorrow's game carrying over a 5-game home win streak. If they can extend that home win streak, they will get off to what I have been preaching since day one with Caleb Williams, and that is a fast start. We'll talk about how important a fast start is for this team, comparing the schedule that they're going to be facing, the players that they have in place, and when they're finally going to see the NFC North, which may have
Got a lot easier.
May have a new look after last night.